You are now entering Video Village.
Here be flagons of little own brand cola, mostly.
Coming up,
I review Devil May Cry and Side Quest,
and we review the Alto Knights,
The Bondsman,
Matlock,
Black Bag,
Mickey 17,
and Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Okay, we're going to start with the Sam's Lexicentre.
Ooh!
Yeah.
It's time. Sam, Lexicentre. Definition. Sam. Placenta.
Yeah, look at that new fucking intro, eh? Okay, this is kind of a weird one, because it's not a complete phrase. It's sort of a prefix word. So, there's already a thing called the Rashomon effect. Have you heard of this?
Well, you've used the word recently a couple of times.
Rashomon. Yeah, to describe varying perspectives.
Yeah.
But the Rashomon effect, obviously inspired by the film, it's when various characters provide subjective, alternative, often contradictory versions of the same events.
Okay.
Right? Of the same incident. So if you take that construct and add the genre afterwards, and that's your film. So a Rashomon thriller.
Okay.
Vantage point would be a Rashomon thriller, but you could have a Rashomon comedy, a Rashomon horror, whatever.
Right.
So it's Rashomon kind of ... You know what I mean?
Okay. Does it count if the word already exists, but you're just using it in a different context?
I think so. I mean, most of the words that I've used have kind of existed.
Yeah, but it's like, it's not a new phrase, is it? You're just stapling a word onto another word.
But
you're getting lazy, is what I'm saying.
It counts.
Okay.
Hey, I've done one, haven't I? But yeah, that's the Lexicentre. You're starting this week.
I am.
Devil May Cry. Tell me about it.
Okay. Spoiler alert, the devil doesn't cry.
Doesn't he?
No.
Well, it says he may.
It did say may, so I'll give them that.
Yes.
You know? Yeah, this is a Netflix anime based on video game series of the same name, of which I'm not massively familiar. I know it through...
I'm not familiar at all. I just know there's a lot of them.
Yeah, I know it through the culture.
Yeah.
The other one I've played through in its entirety is the reboot from 2013, just DMC Devil May Cry.
Right.
Which was received so poorly that the next game to come out was the 5th installment of the original series it was supposed to replace.
Okay.
10 years after the fact.
What is it?
It kind of invented, or it's responsible for sort of popularizing the kind of... I know them as spectacle fighters, but I think they're called character action games. So basically they're kind of like very stylistic fighting games.
Okay. Well, hack and slash.
Yeah, kind of, but like sort of doing it... it's slightly different from hack and slash. Bayonetta is kind of another one, but if you don't know Devil May Cry, you're not going to know Bayonetta.
All right.
God of War, the original God of Wars were kind of that sort of
So
flavor.
it's fantasy-ish, is it?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of demons and all that
Demons,
kind of stuff.
Okay, fine.
Yeah, so the TV series, I don't know how faithful it is, like I said, to the source material. I think it's doing mostly its own thing. But it does still star Dante, insufferable twat, and demon hunter for hire.
Is Dante the protagonist of the game?
He is indeed.
Oh,
yeah.
Really? Okay. What, Dante Alighieri or just someone called Dante?
Just someone called Dante.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, in this show, there's a couple of but Dante is
like
kind of the main one you play as, Yeah, he is captured by the US government's anti-demonic task force one day, where he discovers that he is in fact not human, he is a demi-demon.
Okay.
He is the son of a demon called Sparda, who built a wall between America and hell.
Sounds like a good idea.
And
made the demons pay for it.
Well, no, so throughout the show, the anti-demonic task force, they're killing these demons that are showing up in the real world. And then at one point, the main female soldier in the series, who's the most like, demons are evil, I'm going to kill all the demons. At one point, she gets pulled aside and kind of saved by these demons who reveal themselves to be refugees who crossed over the wall into America so they could just have like a better way of life.
I like the, obviously the immigration kind of department in America is ICE, which is what you want if you're fighting hell demons.
Well, it's quite funny because the final stretch of the show, the finale of the finale, America literally nukes hell.
Again, it's sort of an insulting metaphor, isn't it?
Okay.
I mean, I know
Well, it seems kind of pointless, right?
Well, I
Nuking
just
hell.
like if you're so if the analogy is the wall Trump wanted to build between America and Mexico, then why would you make Mexico literally hell? It's sort of it's like because I'm going nuking hell doesn't sound like a bad idea to me,
Okay.
right?
Well,
It's hell.
They nuke hell, and then in the crater they build like an internment camp, and they keep all of the surviving demons locked inside.
They're demons, though.
Yeah, but this is the thing the show says: like,
Like,
not all demons are bad.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but again, it's not like an insulting.
the bad demons
because
are bad.
surely you'd want the reverse is true, right? Which is most Mexicans are good, but then there are some bad eggs that.
Well, that is what it
Cartel.
says.
So most demons are good.
Most demons are good. Yeah.
Right, okay, it's just not even the opposite, which is, yeah, they're shitheads, but there are some good ones.
No, most demons are good.
What is this nonsense?
Most demons-
They're demons.
Most demons that have made their way to our world
Yeah.
are good. Because they do this whole thing about, like... Because that's the thing, they call...
So all the Mexicans in Mexico are bad, but the ones that make it to America, they're good.
They're alright, yeah. We always get
See,
all
this
of the
is
good
thing.
ones.
It's just a dangerous
Okay.
thing to set this up as an analogy, isn't
Well,
it?
that's the thing.
Not to me, but
Yeah.
like people are going to be offended.
I mean, I've kind of I've chosen to introduce the show this way, and this all does happen. I'm not lying to you, but I don't think the show is genuinely trying to do a Trump thing.
Okay.
If it is, it's doing it very, very clumsily.
Okay.
Because what I've said to you is basically all there is to connect the dots between the two.
Okay. I just think they might not be. It might not be a full-on Trump thing.
It's not, yeah.
But this day and age, building a wall anywhere, that's in your mind.
Well, that's the thing, because, yeah, they call it a wall.
Yeah.
It's not a wall. It's like a metaphysical
Yeah,
barrier.
of course.
That they can open portals in, like, between
Yeah,
Earth and
sure.
Hell, but, like, only in arbitrary locations.
Yeah, right.
And also, the main villain, it's not Sparta, it's this kind of, like, white rabbit demon who deliberately brings up on multiple occasions, and you eventually find out is directly inspired by Alice in Wonderland.
Right.
And so there's a lot of Alice in Wonderland stuff in there, which is
Yeah.
completely disconnected from all
Down
of
the rabbit hole.
Yeah,
Good
exactly.
looking glass, yeah.
And the American president does briefly show up in this show, and he's depicted as this effeminate southerner who is totally different to his vice president, which is demonstrably
Bush.
not Trump.
Bush.
Maybe, I don't know.
Okay.
Vice
Effeminate.
Effeminate. Yeah, because he's kind of got like kind of camp sounding. And kind of like,
What's the joke? Is that like just...
well, the president has no real power, I guess.
Okay. Is that like diversity casting, or is that... Oh,
No, I
making a
think
joke that like this powerful man is actually quite effete?
No, I think they're just making fun of America. I think that's all it is.
Okay.
Because that scene where they nuke hell at the end, that's to the song American Idiot by Green Day.
Is it a Japanese show?
Well, I mean, Devil May Cry is a Japanese property, but the showrunner is Indian.
Indian.
Yeah, I think it was Adi Shakner, I think his name is.
But he's not American Indian. As in Indian-American. American-Indian.
I think he's Indian.
I'm talking.
Yeah, no, I know what you mean. Yeah, I think he's Indian-American. Apparently, he was big on like not getting rid of Apu from The Simpsons.
Oh, right, okay.
Like he'd reported, like before they discontinued Apu, he reported that they were planning to do that.
Right.
But he had nothing to do with The Simpsons, so the showrunners had to come out and say, like, look, he doesn't speak for us.
Okay.
But then not long after that, they did cancel Apu. And he seems to have done a lot of like what he calls his bootleg universe, which is basically a series of fan films based on properties he doesn't have the rights for.
Okay.
He's done like a Power Rangers one, and he's done like all of these different things. But yeah, I don't think, like I said, it's too clumsy to be an actual Trump allegory. I think it's just, as you've kind of alluded to, it's just in people's subconscious now. Like when people are writing, it's just like, oh, like...
I don't mean... So, I mean, it's conscious. If you write anything about building a wall, even if you're not intending to do the Trump thing, that will occur to you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, in this day and age,
Yeah.
there's no avoiding build a wall. Like,
Yeah.
that's
what's weird about it, because like I said, it doesn't look like a wall and it doesn't function as a wall.
No, but...
Because they say at the very beginning that... I forget what kind of bullshit explanation they come up with, but basically... the less powerful a demon is, the easier it is to pass through the wall. So the most powerful demons can't make it over.
Okay.
Because the White Rabbit is like the main villain of... well, one of the main villains of the show. And his goal is basically to tear down the wall and destroy the world.
Right. So by definition, if you make it through, you're not that bad.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless
I'm not trying to draw correlations.
and
I'm just saying, like, that's what that... Yeah, so no bad demon can really get through.
Some do, because there are...
They're not powerful, but they're malevolent.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there are demons that Dante fights during the show that are... they're just bad.
Okay.
They're just bad guys. But yeah, I don't think the show really has anything to say about anything. I think it's more interested in getting you to say something.
Yeah.
That thing being, oh, that's cool.
Right.
I think that's what the show wants, is for you to look at it and go, oh, that's
It's not
cool.
political, it's just...
No.
Okay.
Yeah, like I said, I introduced it that way because I thought it would get a reaction out of you. And when it happened, I was like, no, they're not doing that.
Right.
But
they don't do that.
they don't do anything with it, no.
Okay.
Yeah. Like I said, nuking hell at the end is a pretty undeniable image. But again, I think that's just...
Well, if it's Japanese, they've still got a lot on their minds.
Yeah, that's just some, like, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we nuked hell? Rather than it's making a point about America.
It's a very Zack Snyder-y kind of idea.
Yeah,
it's like,
kind of.
nuke hell.
Nuke hell, exactly. Yeah, I don't know many people in the voice cast. It looks like they're mostly voice actors. The only person I recognised was Kevin Conroy. In what I think this is his last role.
Did he die?
He died in 2022.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so it's quite a while since his
Been in
death.
development for a while.
Yeah, I think that another voice actor had to step in to like finish off some dialogue.
Okay.
But I
he
think
was the voice of Batman, right?
Yes.
In the Arkham games.
Yes, he was. There was a big stink because I think around the time of his death, maybe not long after, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League came out, which is a game that's canon to the Arkham games.
Okay.
And Batman canonically dies in those games.
Right.
He's sitting down on a park bench and Harley Quinn just shoots him in the head.
Okay.
And that was around the time Kevin Conroy died, so people were like, oh, the disrespect.
Tasteless,
Yeah, exactly. Leading up to the release of this, Evanescence released Afterlife, which is the first song they've done in quite a while.
Yes, I have heard that song.
It sounds like every other...
It absolutely
And I say that as someone who does like Evanescence. It sounds like every other Evanescence
I like
song.
Fallen, as much as the next guy that was alive during that time. But
Bring Me to Life is one of the undeniable, that's a pillar of childhood song, you know?
Yeah. But it's like, nu metal's having a bit of a resurgence.
It's funny you should say that.
Yeah.
Because I assumed, given its prominence in the marketing, this was the main theme of the show.
Okay.
It's not.
Is it a Linkin Park song?
It's a Limp Bizkit song.
Oh dear.
Specifically, Rollin'.
Oh really?
Specifically, the censored version of Rollin'.
Okay.
Which is really weird considering that the show itself contains gore, violence, and swearing.
Nuking hell.
And nuking hell. But not only do the characters swear, they feature other songs that feature swearing. So I don't know why the main theme is censored.
Alright.
That's very strange. But yeah, they don't just have Rollin' by Limp Bizkit and a new Evanescence song. They've also got Guerrilla Radio by Rage Against the Machine, Last Resort by Papa Roach.
Okay.
And like I said, the finale is to the tune of American Idiot by Green Day.
So the guy who made it is probably around our age then?
I'd have to double check that.
Same generation anyway.
Yeah.
Growing up with those songs.
Yeah.
Right, okay. Well, it doesn't sound like a great soundtrack, I'll be honest.
Well,
New metal, there's a nostalgia for it.
Yeah.
And I like Linkin Park, it's mostly shit, new metal. It really is. It's not the most mature genre.
Well, that's the thing. Guerrilla Radio by Rage Against the Machine is not one of their more popular songs. There are definitely
they won the Grammy for that one, but it's not one of the. It's not like Bulls on Parade or Killing in the Name.
No, but Last Resort by Papa Roach. I mean, for me,
that's their song.
Yeah, I don't know whether you feel the same. For me, that's one of those songs where you could never use that in something because that song has such a reputation of its own.
It's not that its reputation, it's just for us, I think, growing up on Scuzz and Crying, it's ubiquitous.
Yeah.
It was on all the fucking time.
You couldn't, that
or
song...
Numb or by Linkin Park or something.
Yeah, that song could never belong to something else.
No, exactly, The song is just what it is.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, so the soundtrack
So Rolling's the
me.
theme, you said?
Yeah.
What does that have to do with anything?
It doesn't, as far as I can tell.
So, they're just trying to capture, a kind of new metal-y, Breaking the Habit style music video era thing, are they?
I think so, because Devil May Cry is a franchise that started on the PS2, so it was around that time period.
Okay.
So I think maybe it's just... Because it's not a period piece, as far as I could tell.
No, but they're trying to make it like it's a 2003 show.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so, there are action scenes, there's a car chase to Last Resort, and Guerrilla Radio he's slaying demons and stuff, so it doesn't feel like they're trying to capture a vibe.
Last Resort, I kind of get. This new Evanescence song, I kind of get. I don't know what Rollin', lyrically, has to do with anything.
Yeah.
But okay, fine.
It's peculiar. It's a soundtrack that kind of made me go, okay.
Yeah.
I don't know if much thought has gone into those songs, or whether it's just, I just want stuff that sounds cool, because this is a cool show,
It's very odd to kind of be an adult and still think of those songs as cool,
You can be nostalgic for them.
You can be nostalgic for them, absolutely, and you can sing along to them and everything, but it feels like making a film now and putting new metal all over it, I feel like, I would have done that when I was 14, 15 or something.
Yeah.
I don't know, it just feels odd that that's... Oh, you want cool? All right, here's Papa Roach.
Yeah.
I feel like most people like would roll like, oh, how old and passé. Like,
Yeah.
You know, I don't know.
I don't know. Yeah, Afterlife actually only appears once, as far as I can tell, in the show, in the 6th episode.
Yeah.
And there's 8 episodes in total. The 6th episode is definitely designed to be their, like, awards episode.
Event episode.
Their event episode, yeah. Because it kind of abandons the main story. Dante's not even in it, as far as I know.
Okay.
And it simultaneously tells the backstory of the main soldier, Mary, and the White Rabbit demon.
Yeah.
And this episode uses multiple animation styles. And until those two characters meet in the finale of that episode, I should say, there's no dialogue.
Well, the format for winning an award, or like to have an awardsy episode, is pick a tertiary character that doesn't have much characterization, either like an outright comic character, or like the Weasel, you know, like a character like that.
Yeah.
Focus entirely basically on them, and add a gimmick, like no dialogue, like it's one take, like it's in real time, whatever.
Yeah.
That's the formula.
Yeah.
You know, just do that.
And they did. That's what they did.
Yeah.
It's weird, though, because it feels like that episode is supposed to kind of recontextualize the White Rabbit as a villain.
That's another thing. It's always meant to you're meant to emerge from that episode going, I see them in a whole different light now.
Well, yeah, because I think that's what it's going for. Because you find out that up until this point, you've been led to believe that, the White Rabbit is this kind of high-level demon
right.
that has somehow managed to break through the barrier. And he's the one that's kind of trying to be the arbiter of the end of the world. Turns out he's actually a human that was like abused when he was a kid. And then he like accidentally went through a portal to hell, made friends with the friendly demons, of which hell is mostly populated with, apparently.
Yeah.
And then he built this technology which allowed him to like break through the barrier. And then while he was bringing refugees through, he has an encounter with the anti-demonic task force that slay all of the good demons. And so he takes on the identity of the White Rabbit to basically be like, right, well, I'm the enemy now.
It sounds a bit more of a metaphor than you've implied. Like, I keep hearing things like, oh, they're doing that then. You know, like, he was radicalized by the Americans.
Yeah.
Like, you know. What I keep thinking, though, is Sam Kinison. You know his routine about the necrophilic pathologists or whatever?
Okay.
Like the dead body on the slab. This is very bizarre. Like, we just had a conversation before the podcast about a
You
short
watched the
film of the
film,
same subject.
Yeah.
In my downtime. But no, that joke where he's like lying on the slab and then he's like, what the, and then he's being fucked in the ass. He's like, even when you're dead, life doesn't stop fucking you in the ass. It never ends. And I just think like that guy, he was growing up abused and he ends up in hell. So it's like, can I catch a break?
Yeah.
It never ends.
It never ends.
Yeah, okay.
So yeah, like you're supposed to go, okay, so I now know that he's a human driven mad by American ideology, I guess.
Sure, jingoism.
But then the next episode back, he's clearly like a straight up villain again. Like I think he turns into this big like demonic Hulk figure that's just got this lust for destruction.
Yeah.
Like, so am I supposed to sympathize with it?
I think it's meant to reset the table and go, just right, he is the villain.
Yeah.
But like understand there's no such real thing as a villain when you're in their shoes.
But then again,
no, I know it's
the vice president, who's voiced by Kevin Conroy. Like at the beginning of the show, he's kind of like set up as he's not a straight up villain in the beginning, but he's clearly got problematic ideas.
Sure.
And then he's the one that basically orchestrates the kind of genocide of all of the good demons.
Democide.
Yeah. When he's kind of confronted with evidence that there are actually good demons, he's like, nope, nuke them all.
Okay.
So he becomes like a proper villain at the end.
You couldn't really convince me there was such a thing as good demons. I'll be honest with you.
Okay.
I heard of the existence of demons, like, oh, there are some good ones. I don't care. Nuke them all. It's like Palestinians.
Well, that's the thing. Okay. All right.
That was a joke. That was a joke.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, it's like you'd have to do some work to convince me.
Well,
because even if it's like, oh, this demon's really good.
Yeah.
All I would ever be thinking is, but they're playing the long game. They're like, they're being nice to me. They're psychopaths, of course. You know?
No, well, when Mary, like the female lead, the soldier that's like, oh, all demons are bad. When she gets like, they're in an apartment block and she gets taken in by one of the residents so that the other demons don't catch her. So she's like, oh, thank you, sir. And then he like lifts up his hood and he's got horns and she's like, oh, you're a demon.
Right.
And he's like, no, it's okay. We're actually good.
Right.
Let me tell you about why we're good. And he's basically like, oh, it turns out hell is like polluted and you can't live there. And and that converts
You can't live there. It's fucking wrecked out.
Yeah.
It's hellish.
It's you could say it's hell. I will say, like, the show, it does feel like it captures the spirit of what I imagine the DMC games to be.
Okay.
Dante, as far as I'm aware, he's a very faithful version of Dante. He's not. I didn't like him, but I get a feeling that I wouldn't like the character in the games anyway. So fair enough.
Yeah,
People that will like him, as far as I know. It's got a pretty good Rotten Tomatoes score, but I think there are fans who aren't happy with this adaptation.
Fans are never happy, George.
No, but like I think there are some people that are like, oh, this really captures the spirit of Devil May Cry, and then there are other people that are like, oh, we're doing the American Bad thing again, are we?
Well, I can do both.
Yeah,
You know.
I got through it like comfortably enough. I don't know if I'd go back for season 2 because there is going to be a season 2 because it makes it very clear it wants a season 2. Yeah, like I was surprised by all of the stuff that we've discussed that was in there. It's not a massive part of the show.
Okay.
But it's the thing that stuck with me, and I don't know whether that was the intention of the creators or not.
Okay.
If not, I guess it's unfortunate that they've included those elements that for me overshadow the rest of the show.
Yeah.
But as far as like a Netflix anime goes, I think it's pretty standard. Like the animation is fine for what it is, and yeah, it's
Comfortably done.
yeah.
Okay. Do you recommend it?
Well, certainly not to you. You'll you'll get nothing out of it.
No. Yeah.
And I think people that don't like animation will get nothing out of it.
Yeah.
People that do, maybe.
I do. No. Anime, I don't.
Anime. Okay. Yeah, no, you certainly
Refer you
won't
to
get.
common side effects. That is always going to...
Oh, that's your new one example, is it?
It's not... Again, Wallace and Gromit.
Oh, you've got 2
Puss
now.
in Boots. But according to you, I hate because I don't think it's a masterpiece.
Yeah, you're like
But Puss in Boots: The Last
You
Wish.
said to me that Puss in Boots: The Last Wish is just as good as the original Puss in Boots.
I think it is.
Okay.
Have you rewatched the original Puss in
I
Boots?
haven't.
Right.
But you're
then
mad.
Shut your face. Okay. Side Quest, which is another one of yours.
Another one of mine. Yes, this is a spin-off anthology series of Mythic Quest.
Yes.
The recently cancelled
Yes.
Mythic Quest.
Yes. I saw the first 2 seasons and a bit, maybe.
Okay.
And then I stopped.
Right.
I assume I represent a lot of people. Third has now been cancelled.
Yes. Well, I haven't seen Mythic Quest at all.
But you watched the spin-off.
I watched the spin-off.
You're a
'cause
weird guy.
It was 4 small episodes that were all anthology anyway.
Okay.
I thought, well, let's give Side Quest a go. Mm-hmm. And then if there's stuff here I like, maybe I'll give Mythic Quest a chance.
Okay.
I'm not going to bother now. Yeah, especially since... So, yeah, the first episode is... It's just like a senior art director on the game. I don't know if he's in the
Well, yeah,
show.
we should explain what Mythic Quest is, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to briefly...
Yeah,
premise
sure.
Mythic Quest?
It's about a games developer, a company, and kind of the struggles they face between like the writer and the producer, and yeah, it's basically about gamers.
Okay.
And they worked on this game called, I think, Mythic Quest Raven's Banquet, I think is the...
Right.
At least like the first in the...
Yeah.
But it's kind of like an MMORPG.
Yeah, it feels
World
like...
of Warcraft.
World of
kind
Warcraft is definitely an inspiration,
Yeah.
as far as I can tell.
But it's kind of a comedy drama, again in that vein of like there'll be episodes where they do take a tertiary character and show their backstory.
Yeah.
And it's more of a comedy drama. Like there's a COVID episode that was kind of overall dramatic rather than...
Yeah.
But yes, Rob McElhenney from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Yes.
He's behind it. Yeah, and then Side Quest is an anthological spin-off.
Yeah,
Yes.
so the first episode is a senior art director on that game. He's on holiday with his girlfriend that he's planning to propose to. But Rob McElhenney keeps ringing him up saying, look, dude, I know you're on holiday, but I really need you to design some hats.
Okay.
And he's like, no, I'm on holiday. But then he's like weak-willed, so he keeps like giving into it. And it's creating a rift between him and his soon-to-be fiancée,
Yes.
hopefully. But yeah, Rob McElhenney is in that episode. And I think that's as connected as it ever gets
Okay.
to the actual
Lowering
proper
you
show.
into the bath.
Yeah.
Like, gently, slowly, yeah.
Yeah, I'm always a little suspicious of male comedians that are able to play insufferable cunts so deftly, you know?
I think you have to be,
Yeah?
to an extent.
Okay.
You got to be a bit insufferable to be a comedian, right? You have to think that you're funny enough to go on a stage and entertain people.
Yeah, but I think a good male comedian makes you forget that about them.
No, I think you can grow, you can develop a humility, and you do that by, bombing loads.
Yeah.
But the fact that you have to bomb loads, there's an arrogance there, isn't it? 'Cause
Yeah.
Like, nah, it's going to be worth it. I'm not. It's a necessary arrogance. It's a contingent hubris.
Yes.
Same to be a writer. Same to be any kind of artist, really.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, but I understand where you're coming from.
Yes.
What, Rob McElhenney or the art director?
Rob McElhenney.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, he does come across like it. But I think that's the thing with the Always Sunny. They're all kind of psychopaths in that show, right? They're all like
Yeah.
shits.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's clearly brought that
Yeah.
to Mythic Quest. The second episode, it's set in this comic book store. There's a new edition of a comic book in the Mythic Quest universe that's due out, and there are 4 people in that comic book store that really, really want to get a copy, but only 1 copy shows up.
Okay.
So they have to decide between them who deserves the comic book, and yeah.
I've never read it, therefore I deserve it more than people who have, because it'll be my foray into this world.
Yeah, well, there's like a guy that wants to buy it for his stepson,
Right.
who's like in a bit of a custody battle at the moment, so he's like,
Right.
oh, I really need to carry my stepson's favour.
Right.
There's like a nerdy kid from school who's just like, oh, well, I'm a nerd. I've got the most nerd cred.
Yeah.
But she's awful. She is like a proper...
Okay, well, a female nerd.
Yeah, female nerd. Yeah, there's a male nerd as well, but she's
Yeah.
like, oh, I read the most obscure comic books and I deserve it.
Yeah.
But you're supposed to
That's
like her.
accurate reflect. You're supposed to like her.
You're supposed to like her.
Okay.
They do a thing, it's sort of what you were already talking about. They do a thing towards the end of the episode where it's like, oh, the reason that I'm a bastard that nobody likes is because nobody likes me, and therefore I'm a bastard.
Sure.
And you should feel bad for me, because if I just belonged somewhere, I wouldn't be a bastard.
Right. Okay.
The 3rd episode is about a cellist who joins a travelling orchestra that play music from the Mythic Quest game.
Right. Yeah.
And a lot of people have compared that episode to Whiplash because she ends up pushing herself way too hard.
Well, Tar's what I think of.
Tar,
Just the
kind
end,
of.
the ending
Yeah,
of Tar,
yeah, exactly. And then the 4th episode is about a group of kids that have been playing Mythic Quest for years. They're now of college age, so they're all about to go off and lead separate lives.
Right.
But they've joined for one last raid.
Okay.
But it turns out that there's a glitch, which means that only a specific amount of them can play at any one time. And then that causes like...
Is all this social experiment stuff in every episode? It's like there are finite resources and a group of people, and who do we give it to?
Yeah, exactly.
All these thought experiments.
So, I mean, we've said it before, we'll say it again. We'll probably be saying it on the next episode, because I think we're doing Black Mirror on the next episode, aren't we? If you're doing an anthology show, you're going to get some episodes that are worse than others.
Varying results.
I would say, personally, that the 3rd episode is my favourite.
Okay.
But that is coming from a place of bias, because I do really like video game
Yes.
music, and I have been to a couple of video game concerts. Although I do think that episode is the best one.
Beyond that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple of like the 4th episode where you've got the kids arguing. The resolution to that felt like really weak.
Okay.
Because they eventually everything comes to a head where they like things in their real life are brought up, and the group basically fractures. It's like we can't be friends anymore. So the main kid who wanted to kind of get everyone together, he's just like on his own for a little bit, and then while he's playing the game, he meets up with a friend that used to be in that friendship group, and she's like, "Oh, I'm with another group of people now. Why don't you come and join us?"
Okay. Next stage of life.
Yeah, and that's kind of it.
Okay.
Like throughout the episodes, like there's a couple of things he does where people are like, "Oh, you should be a teacher," and then at the end of the episode, like the group, they role play in Elven, and he's like, "I can't speak Elven," and she's like, "Oh, it's okay, I'll teach you."
Right.
And I think that's supposed to be the big...
It sounds a bit like Stand By Me. Like, it's the final summer kind of thing with those friends, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, you know, I don't know how accurate them speaking over voice chat is. I was getting E3 flashbacks.
Oh, dear.
And I never played...
Oh, dear.
But that's the thing, I never really played online games enough to really tune into how people, like, talk to each other that way. And I know that Call of Duty lobbies can be incredibly toxic sometimes, but...
I mean, from what I understand, rage quitting, screaming at parents, and racism.
Okay.
That's like online gaming to me.
Yeah.
You know, anonymous racism, I should
say. Yes, absolutely. But yeah, the resolution of that just felt quite weak. And then the second episode, yes, it's set in the comic book store. I think most of the cast in that episode are black, so there's a couple of like...
A black nerd.
Yeah, a black comic book store owner. Because she's like, she gets one comic delivered, and she's like, "Oh, you're delivering to the bigger stores? Is it because I'm... does she say, is it because I'm black?
She doesn't say because I is, does she?
No, not because I is. Race comes up. Like it's raised.
Of course it does.
It's raised for some reason.
Yeah.
And yeah, like I said, one of the female nerd is clearly someone we're supposed to like or we're supposed to empathize with by the end of the episode, but I really, really didn't. She was really like unpleasant.
Okay.
But yeah, this third episode, I see why people are comparing it to Whiplash. Because she joins the orchestra. Like the conductor clearly sees something in her, so she joins the orchestra. And then at the end of her first performance, he kind of looks over and goes, "You were a bit off key." And that kind of shatters her
Not
kind
quite
of...
my key.
Yeah. So she's practicing harder and harder, and she's like, pushing herself, and she's, even though she's traveling the world, she's never leaving her hotel and everything like that. And then she has a panic attack on stage, so she leaves.
Right.
And then eventually she goes back to the conductor to try and get her job back, and he's like, "No.
Right.
No, I replaced you like ages ago. You fucked off in the middle of a performance."
Okay. Be a virtuoso, faggot. Is that like get her back into it?
No.
I mean, that's basically Whiplash.
Well, no, that's the thing. This is kind of where the Whiplash comparisons end, because she's like, no, you don't understand. I love music. You've got to let me back in. This is my life. This is my passion. And he's like, and that's exactly why I'm not letting you back in.
Okay.
And he reads her an email from the Rob McElhaney character, where he's just like, it's just like 3 pages of him just like, oh, in this section, maybe play the music a bit like da-da-da-da, rather than da-da-da.
Right.
And he's like, I love music, but music is not my career. This is my career. My job is like keeping the higher-ups happy,
right?
And it's wrangling an orchestra, and you've shown me that you can't do this as a job,
right?
Like, and so that was kind of the message he was going for was, yeah, I get that you love music, but that's not important. What's important is you can do a job, and you've shown me you can't do this job, so you don't have the job anymore.
Okay, that's fine, but what's the whole thing with, oh, I know you love music, that's why you can't do this?
Because she's too in love with music to kind of do it objectively as a job.
Right, okay, right. So what, she's like not...
She's too into it.
Right, so
like
it's not shit. It's that she's not quite that tempo. It's
it's that she loves music too much to not like...
To take notes.
No, to kind of like... Well, I mean, she had a panic attack because she was pushing herself too hard because she wanted to... She loved the music so much that she wanted to prove that she was the best. And he's
so what's the positive import of all this?
Well, at the end of the episode, because she kind of like her passion for this basically, like she, like all of the people in her life leave her and everything like that. She makes amends with a friend, and at the end of the episode, she's playing at her wedding, and they kind of do this little visual metaphor because every episode kind of has. It's kind of like Win or Lose, where they were like little visual quirks that belong to each character. So in the third episode, you kind of see the music that she's playing abstracted around her.
Right.
And they sort of do this little visual metaphor thing to show that her passion for music is going to be passed on to the next generation.
Right.
So even though she hasn't made it as a professional musician, her love for music is going to go forth and inspire people.
So she's going to become a music teacher?
I guess. Okay. Not even a music teacher, just like she is basically made someone a musician.
Right.
Through her passion.
Okay.
Someone wants to pursue music.
Right.
I just like the thing with the teacher, I just liked that it wasn't the whole, oh, but I love music. Oh, music is so wonderful.
Oh, right.
And he's like, oh, I will give you another chance.
A second chance.
He's like, no, you had your chance. You fucked it up.
Right. Yeah.
Like you love music, so you love music too much.
Yeah.
You can't be objective about it. And that's why you're a liability basically because you love music too much.
Okay. I thought it was trending towards like, oh, this is corporate and you're better than that. But it's not
it's not that she's better than that.
Okay.
It's that she's got the wrong relationship with music for him.
Fine.
It doesn't gel with that world.
She's too precious about it.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And that was I wasn't expecting that from a show like that.
No, that is different. That's different.
So I was like, okay, good. And the fact that her...
I was just curious about like what that sounds like bleak, you know? Like a bleak ending for that character.
Yeah.
So I was curious about like, is it? But no, you're saying there is kind of an upshot to that.
Yeah, there is. Because, at the end, like I said, she does inspire someone else. So it's like, okay, no, that is actually a nice little compact unit of a story. Less so with the other episodes.
Okay.
I would go as far to say that, like, I think the third episode is kind of the only one worth watching. But again, that's coming from a place of bias.
Yes.
I don't know whether they're on par with the quality of Mythic Quest. Some of them might be better, some of them might be worse. It was only 4 episodes, you know? I got through them fairly comfortably.
Yeah.
But
obviously the show is cancelled now. I don't know. I presume that means no more side quest.
Well, that's the thing. I don't know, because this came out before the show was cancelled, and I don't know whether they knew it was going to be cancelled, and so they were testing the waters of like, how do we continue this universe?
Yeah.
Or whether they assumed that it was going to become like they were finally expanding. And then Apple or Amazon, whoever, just went, actually, fuck it, we don't care, we don't want to do anymore.
They've given them an extra episode to like tie everything up. Okay, basically. So it's not going to be unresolved. But I'm not invested in it. Like, no, it doesn't mean anything to me.
And that's the thing, because these are all anthology stories. Like I said, I do really like the third one for what it was. But all of those stories have been concluded now. They've all been wrapped up. So there was never anything meaty enough to kind of
sink your teeth into.
Like, it might just be because I like video game music that third one stuck with me.
Yeah.
And the fact that it wasn't it didn't go down the obvious playing to his emotion. Oh yeah, music is about emotion. I resonate with you.
Yeah, right.
No, it's like, no, I'm being objective. I'm doing my job.
Or doing the other thing, which is, you're so good, you're better than this. Like,
not that.
Because you talked about how he got emails like, I need to be a bit more da-da-da. And I thought that was leading to, look, I'm not an artist. I have to listen to the corporate higher-ups. You're an artist, like, go forth and art.
No.
But okay, fine.
Yeah, no, she got
Just got sacked.
She got sacked, yeah. But because she fucked up.
Because she fucked up.
Yeah, because she loved music too much.
Okay. So you'd recommend that episode, but not necessarily the other ones?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to watch that episode, you may as well watch the others.
Yeah.
But it's not a consistent show.
Yeah.
But it's also not a very long one.
Okay. Okay, now for mutual reviews. The Alto Knights. Do you want to explain the premise?
Well, this stars Robert De Niro and Robert De Niro in Alto Knights, starring Robert De Niro and Robert De Niro.
Uh-huh.
I can't fathom why. I'm just going to start with that. I can't fathom why he's pulling double duty.
No, that's the kind of the most incongruous.
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's not that type of film. It's not saying anything.
No, it doesn't do anything with it.
No.
And it's not an art film.
No.
It's not like, you're not meant to take it literally.
No,
it's all very literal.
It's a pretty standard, mafia.
It's a very standard mafia film, yeah.
I guess the only kind of artistic license they take, other than the double Robert De Niro's, is that Robert De Niro is narrating the film, but occasionally...
Which is not new to the mafia genre
Which is not new to the mafia thing, but we see Robert De Niro, breaking the fourth wall and talking to us.
Yeah, he looks kind of like the Irishman, but now he's looking directly at the camera.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like he's sitting in a room watching the film and he's kind of talking to us about it.
Yeah, so there's that conceit. But the fact he's playing both roles is just meant to be taken literally.
Yeah.
They look like that.
Yeah, because they play... He's protagonist and antagonist. But again, it's not a case of, they're just as bad as each other.
No.
Or they're like a dark reflection of each other.
Yeah, if you take it literally, even, there's still no... You don't take anything away on the level of, they're two sides of different sides of the same coin. It's nothing like that.
Yeah.
But it's Frank Costello and Vito Genovese, who is his underboss.
Yes.
And it's their relationship and mafia stuff. That's the film, essentially.
Yeah, because
over several years.
It's sort of how the mafia was brought down, right?
How it, when it got to its low point, which was, I can't remember the name of it, but it was one raid where a lot of mafioso higher-ups were meeting.
Yeah.
And the authorities were clued into it.
Yeah.
So they cracked down on it.
It kind of revealed to America that mafia was a worldwide, a nationwide.
Yeah. But also it was a massive dent. The glory days were over then. It's mentioned in Goodfellas. I can't remember the name of just call it the Albany raid, right? Something like that. And there's a throwaway line of the Goodfellas, and this is before the blah, blah, before the Albany stuff, before to prove that that was kind of the downfall of the romantic vision of the mafia.
Got it.
So this is directed by Barry Levinson, who's made some good films, but none recently.
Okay.
It's a true story. Frank Costello was a real guy. Now, Jack Nicholson's character in The Departed, who's based on Whitey Bulger, is named Frank Costello, which is an interesting quirk.
Yeah.
This is the quote-unquote real Costello.
Yeah.
Nevertheless, it's impossible not to think of Nicholson's performance, and it's moreover impossible not to think of all the films in this genre that are better.
Yes.
Nicholson, whose disappearance from our screens is an ongoing lament, chose to retire. Probably for the best, right? It might be time for Robert De Niro.
Well, I was going to say, if Jack Nicholson's future looked anything like Robert De Niro's present, then it's probably a good thing he left when he did.
Yeah, I mean, I thought he was decent in Killers of the Flower Moon, but he just doesn't have the energy anymore. It's like you just can't be bothered.
It's so weird, because you'd think the fact that he's playing two characters would suggest that this is something he cares about.
Yeah, his heart and soul is in it.
Yeah.
And it might well be. 0 Days felt, in a way, like a passion project.
Yeah.
But he doesn't bring that vitality to the screen.
Because the Frank Costello character is just Robert De Niro, as you would imagine him being. And then the Vito
Genovese,
Vito Genovese, he's doing a different voice, and I think they've made him up to look slightly different.
There's some prosthetics or maybe CG. It's hard to tell these days.
But other than his voice, it's still Robert De Niro. The first time that they're on screen together, they're both walking into a cafe, and they've both got exactly the same gaits.
Yeah.
So it's like, have you ever seen when your computer is kind of running slow or fucking up, and you get after images?
Yeah, sure.
It looked like that. It was really weird.
What are they? Artifacts? Yeah. Yes, exactly. And it was the same with The Irishman, wasn't it? He's meant to be playing a 25-year-old, and it was like an old man walking.
Yeah.
It's all complicated. But between The Godfather, Goodfellas, and The Sopranos, to name just a few, some of the greatest American things are about the mafia, right? When done less than excellently, they can feel like goofy caricatures.
Yeah.
Every mob movie lives in the shadow of these titans, and nobody's done anything new and interesting for a long time. The film is narrated, like you said, by De Niro's Costello at the end of his life.
Yeah.
It evokes Goodfellas, of course. And the writer here is Nicholas Pileggi, who co-wrote Goodfellas and wrote the book Wise Guy, which it's based.
Gotcha.
But also latterly he wrote The Irishman. De Niro delivers straight to camera here. Now, I understand that one of the reasons these stories are so compelling are because they're tied in with the immigrant experience, bringing traditions from the old country to the new world, and they're dark expressions of the American dream, right? They're American mythology. And so, understandably, many of these films are structured as reflections. Yes, the glory days are over. The mafioso is either on the brink of death or living the rest of their life like a schnook, as Henry Hill would say. Here's how it all went wrong. Meditations on crime does pay for a while, but then it doesn't.
Yeah.
All that stuff. It would just be nice to get one of these films whose narrative just unfolds chronologically, sans colour commentary.
I mean, has it reached the point now where Goodfellas is such a blueprint that that's just what the genre is now?
That it would seem that way, yeah.
Yeah, it would be like not having a hard-boiled detective in a noir film. It's like, well, no, it's a mafia film. You got to have color commentary.
I mean, that's obviously the logic, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, just where the whole thing doesn't play out like a greatest hits reel, pun intended, of gangster tropes, you know? I get it. Goodfellas is massively influential, and it's the same guy too, so kind of fair enough. But
Yeah.
just carve a slightly different path.
Yeah.
You know? Do something a little bit different. Honestly, I found it a real slog.
Yeah, 100%.
Like you said, De Niro playing both roles says absolutely nothing. Cosmo Jarvis looks different. He always does. But if anything, he reminded me of De Niro in Raging Bull. He looked exactly like Jake LaMotta.
Okay.
There's just nothing to be gained here. Give it a miss.
Yeah, absolutely no. I did find it a little bit funny because I think I saw somewhere saying that the average age for the people involved in this film is like 78.
Yeah, I imagine the average audience member.
Yeah, the average audience member is 78. And there's just something really funny about that final scene where they're all running back to their cars. Right. That's the big climax, is they know the police are watching them.
Yeah.
So they're running back to their cars so they can escape. It's just all these old men like falling over.
But that's what's great about The Sopranos. It just shows them for being like the feeble... They are just old blokes who've got diabetes. And, they're not physically... They're just fat blokes that wear tracksuits or suits.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah, but no, it's...
Also, his little... I can't remember the name of the guy that he's driving... Like, when they're going up to Albany, or wherever it is. The guy driving him, because he's not...
I think that's Cosmo Jarvis, isn't it? But I can't remember the name of the character.
Oh, right. Oh, that looks nothing like Cosmo Jarvis.
Yeah, exactly.
But, yeah, because Frank Costello, I think, is tipped off the cops, isn't he? But he doesn't want anyone to know, so he's just, like, delaying.
Yeah.
She's like, he turns up late, and he's like, let's go pick some apples, and, like, he doesn't want to get there when the cops are there.
Let's get some coffee.
Let's get some coffee.
Just holding the...
Yeah.
Reaching.
Sitting on the bed.
Yeah.
You come in? Wait. And so when they drive past and they see the cops have pulled over all the gangsters, it's funny because the guy in the car is like slowly piecing it together.
Yeah.
She was like, what's going on there? God, it's lucky we didn't come when we did. What did you do? He's just like, Robert De Niro's not talking, but you can see this guy very, very slowly like figuring it out.
Yeah.
No, it really was... I can't remember a lot of it already. And I saw it last night.
It's dreary.
Basically, yeah.
It's really dreary. Yeah,
there's nothing even during the hit scenes, it's just not exciting.
It's not exciting.
Most of the film is just kind of like monotone. It's just guys in rooms going, what are we going to do now? We're going to do this.
That's what it is.
Yeah. Like Frank Costello, the whole film, he's just like, look, I just want to retire.
Yeah.
and then the other Robert De Niro character is like, oh no, he's up to something. He's like, I'm not, I just want to retire. And it gets so frustrating towards the end.
Barry Levinson, he made Rain Man, which is good. He made Good Morning Vietnam, The Natural, and Wag the Dog. He's made a lot of films. But also a lot of his films are like this.
Okay.
Where they're just like drama. Just boring, uninventive, middle-of-the-road drama.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's nothing for anyone, I don't think.
No.
We don't recommend it.
Absolutely not.
The Bondsman.
Yep.
What's this one about?
This is about Kevin Bacon. Mm-hmm. Kevin Bacon dies.
He does.
He dies at the beginning of the show, but then he's brought back from hell. Mm-hmm. And he gets a call from Hell Hotline or whatever it's called.
Whatever.
It's not called Hell Hotline.
No. It should be.
Pot of Gold, that's what it's called.
Pot of Gold, okay.
Don't know why.
No.
Don't know what the
Hotline makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, actually, I didn't think of that. Yeah. Oh, look at me. Yeah, he gets a call. He's like, and then basically this woman shows him. He's like, right, basically you're now a bounty hunter for the devil. You have to go and find demons. And as he does it, over the course of the show, as he does it, he figures out that the demons are committing sacrifices to let a greater demon come forth and destroy the world.
Yeah.
That's your show.
So, Kevin Bacon has stayed in shape. I'll say that.
Yeah.
Fair play to him.
Yeah.
He plays the whole thing with an ambivalence that just didn't work for me at all.
It's interesting, isn't it? Because I think it's trying to be a fun show, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
That's definitely what it wants to be. It wants to be just kind of like mindless fun. And it's difficult to know like what the best character, but the best protagonist to put into that is.
Yeah.
But one that just seems so constantly done with this shit.
Yeah, he's never surprised. He's never
No.
shocked. He's kind of always bored with it. Which there could be something to
Yeah,
do
there's
that.
potential there.
But he's not doing that.
No.
Yeah. Beth Grant, his mother, she's looking old now.
Okay.
Between her and Jolene Purdy, we have a little Donnie Darko reunion.
Oh, right.
It's not the most original premise. It's a Ghost Rider, right?
Yeah.
It has that Evil Dead tone, Ash versus the Evil Dead, to be precise, if not as nearly as anarchic. There are elements of Deadman, that the job is corporate, which
Yeah.
we've talked about. Despite its lack of invention, it's a premise with longevity, right? There's an implied format there going forward.
There is, but at the same time, they seem to limit themselves quite early.
No, but as a mini-series, which
Yeah.
is how it was marketed, it needs to be so much more. Now, it ends on a cliffhanger.
Yeah.
So, depending on how many people watch it, it'll probably get renewed. But, yeah, that's a setup that's like a 22 episode. That's Supernatural, right?
Yeah.
It's a guy that hunts demons. Okay,
Yeah.
think of them in various
Buffy.
forms.
Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Buffy, yeah. I mean, I found I was just bored.
Okay.
For the most part. Which is the last thing it should be in general, but especially with something like this.
Yes.
It just made me think of how much I'd like to see a Sister Andrea demon hunting show.
Oh, right.
You know?
Okay. I don't know, because they're half-hour episodes, right? Because it's like comedy, more comedy than drama.
Yeah.
It? Yeah, so they're half-hour episodes, which was appreciated. But at the same time, I do feel like he dispatches the demons like far too quickly.
Yeah, too easily.
In a lot of the episodes, it feels like the demon is almost an afterthought. Because I mean, one of the great things about Buffy, we're watching it at the moment, is that the demons are often like about something. They represent something, don't they? Whether it's like coercive control or just like, oh, if someone feels unseen and so they become invisible.
Yeah, a lot of like adolescent issues, like the mum's new boyfriend.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The demons in this, they're all just elemental. So it's like, oh, this is the fire demon. This is the water demon.
Yeah.
But they never do anything fun with that. They rarely do anything fun with that. Like, basically, the first time he encounters the demon, he shoots it in the head and they die. So they feel almost like an afterthought in their own show.
I mean, talk about the Alto Knights. I remember very little of this, too.
Okay. A lot of it is just, like, character drama. It's him, like...
His ex-wife and his kid. And
Yeah, he wants his ex-wife and his kid back, but the guy that she's with now... He's like, he loves Jesus and he's suspicious of Kevin Bacon. He thinks Kevin Bacon's a serial killer. The police kind of get involved. And
it's a southern thing as well, isn't it?
yeah, kind of Justified meets
Evil Dead.
Evil Dead.
Yeah.
But yeah, it never felt like quite delivered on its premise, which is like, let's watch Kevin Bacon fight demons in fun ways.
Yes.
We don't get that, really.
No, it's just it's a curiosity in its existence, really.
Yeah.
Like, it's not bad. It's not a bad show.
Yeah, I won't say that I was ever bored.
Oh, I was bored.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
I wasn't bored. I was watching it with people, which probably helped.
Okay.
But I certainly came away from it feeling like, yeah, I don't feel like I watched the show I wanted to see.
No, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's not a bad show, but it's toothless and it's unnecessary.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's nothing vital about this show.
No. I think there's there's obviously CG and stuff, but I think they do a few practical effects with some of the gore, which is always appreciated. But again, considering how fleeting it is, it's never enough to kind of stick with you.
Yeah.
And that's sort of, you could say that about the whole show, really. It's so fleeting, it doesn't really stick with you.
No.
And I could see quite easily how they could continue this into a second season.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know, in its current state, I don't know whether it's worth doing that.
No. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
I probably won't go back to it.
Okay.
Maybe just as a curiosity to see a couple of episodes, but no, I don't recommend it.
No, nor do I.
Okay. Matlock. What is Matlock? Well, there was an old show called Matlock.
Matlock!
What are you doing?
That's The Simpsons.
Oh, I don't know that.
Prior to The Simpsons, this is the only thing I knew about Matlock, was Grandpa Simpson occasionally going, Matlock! In like his feeble, elderly way.
Well, I'd heard of Matlock and I knew it was a lawyer show. That's kind of, I think probably Saul Goodman brings him up a couple of times. I don't know. This is a reboot. Very, very, very reboot.
Yeah.
So it stars Kathy Bates as Madeline Matlock, but we find out that's not her real name. And she begins working at this law firm late in her life, obviously. It's like she needs to go back to work. She needs a purpose.
75. And fair play to her.
Oh, yeah, she's got some vim. And fair play to her. Okay, so the pilot, it's set up as one type of show. One that's somewhat identifiable and one from which you can extrapolate the narrative thrust.
Yeah.
Right? It's an old woman going back to the workplace. She's going to have encounters with younger culture and Rusty, but then she's going to become invaluable. Like that's the kind of thing it is.
Yeah.
And then it completely turns that on its head, which is audacious in a venue where audacity is this, in a way.
Yeah.
Just a ballsy twist for a network pilot. So we get to the end of the first episode. We find out that a few years earlier, her daughter had died because of an opioid overdose.
Yes.
And now she, along with her husband and her grandson, who they have custody of, they are plotting. They're trying to find out, because someone in this law firm hid documents that would have taken that drug off the market and thus saved her daughter's life. So she's there to find out. It's one of 3 people, and they're going to take them down, basically.
Yeah. What a fantastic way of rebooting a show.
Yeah, because we find out as well that she's chosen the name because she's a fan of the original show.
Yeah, and just because her persona is inspired by the old, Matlock is a TV show in this universe, and she's inspired by that character.
Yeah.
And so she takes the name as a fun, and takes the whole, although you do later find out that the persona is also based on her actual sister.
Yes.
Which felt like they didn't need to do that as well.
No.
The fact that she was based on Matlock was enough.
Yeah. No, and they employ the title and the existence of the original show to clever postmodern effect. Postmodern in a non-nauseating way.
Yes.
It is quite well done, you know?
Yeah, but in terms of you're just sitting at a table, blank piece of paper, you got to reboot Matlock.
Right.
This is a really interesting, clever way of doing it.
It's a nice twist on it, yeah.
Because you can have your, male person now played by a female person. You can have all of that.
Yeah.
While keeping the original show intact.
Yes.
And doing something completely new. Even though she's got the name Matlock, she is a different Matlock.
It's just a legal show. It's a law.
She's not relying on the legacy of the original.
No, it's a legal drama also called Matlock. That's as much as they're connected, as far as I understand.
Yeah.
It's sharply written in that economical network way, and it traffics in that reliable balance of stories of the week and the overarching narrative.
Yeah.
Though it could afford to lose the end of episode aha montage, because that grew stale.
Well, that sort of becomes the show's staple, doesn't it?
Yeah. Every episode ends with she was up to this the whole time.
Yeah.
And there are stronger and weaker versions of that.
Yeah, because, you tune into it, so there are moments where a scene will start and then it'll just end. So you bookmark that in your mind going, well, that's going to mean something later.
Something.
Yeah.
Right, okay, that'll show up in the end montage. Now, I like a good legal drama, and while I guess it's serviceable enough here, the reason to keep watching for me was her crusade for revenge. Not to mention that all televisual courtroom drama suffers in a world where the good wife exists. Yeah. Unfortunately.
And Better Call Saul a little bit.
And Better Call Saul, yes. I did worry about her growing to like her colleagues, but that tends to be inevitable with dramas like this. And that does indeed start to happen.
Yes.
When it settled into what it was, it lost that initial spark.
I think this is a show... It's interesting because a lot of people have complained recently about how inconsistent television scheduling is now.
Right.
You tend to get 8 episodes of something every 3 years, and it's just not fun to keep up with shows anymore.
No. Like Stranger Things.
Yeah, no, exactly, yeah. And then when you do get them, they're 2.5-hour episodes.
Yeah.
Which is ridiculous.
Yeah.
And I don't know whether Network. I don't know whether Network has never shied away from consistent scheduling.
Mm-hmm.
But it does feel like recently you've got Elsbeth, the first season was 10 episodes, second season is 20.
Yeah.
This one, it's 19 episodes, and the second season's coming in September,
yeah.
right? So it feels like they're committing to consistent longer seasons again.
Network has always been longer seasons, consistent scheduling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're seeing that in other areas as well. But Matlock is an example of no, we're doing long seasons and we're doing them every year.
Old school
television.
Yeah. There are not many. You can count on one hand the number of network dramas that are good.
Yeah.
Because the only ones that are left are all the various Chicagos,
Yes.
all the various 911s, like all those shitty Blue Bloods, like those shitty
Yeah.
cop dramas and stuff.
Yeah. But I would say that this is, at the very least, a season, if not a show,
Yeah.
that would have benefited from less episodes. Because
Yes.
that run in the middle, where it basically just becomes a normal legal drama, where the stuff about her, like, her crusade to find out who did it, that's in there, but it's mostly just a lawyer story of the week show. That was difficult to get
It's
through.
stalling. Yeah. I think, unfortunately, like, a great pilot
Yeah.
and a great concept that going into the second season might be exploded.
Yeah.
Like, the show kind of might be over for me, sort of.
Yeah.
Maybe not. We'll come to it, but Kathy Bates is good, obviously.
Yeah, she
Kathy
really,
Bates.
she's like, works for that.
She works.
Yeah.
I found Sky P. Marshall's Olympia quite unlikable.
Okay.
I just like her hair.
Right.
There's a strain of wokeness through it. So, like, the firm that she works for, they specialise in cases of social injustice. The young associates who she's with, it's like 20-somethings or early 30s or whatever.
Yeah.
They teach Matlock the occasional lesson, which made me feel sick. Like,
Right.
I just don't think a woman of Kathy Bates' age needs tutoring on sexual impropriety. You know?
Okay.
Like, yeah, times have changed, but she is a woman of the world.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, she has. It's not like she's only just come back to the world.
Exactly.
She's been in it for
Right.
a long time, yeah.
It's every young idealist thinks they've devised the progressive philosophy, like ignorant of all the shoulders on which they stand.
Yeah.
It's the blink twice arrogance. We should call it Kravitz's folly, I think.
Okay.
No, that's not Lexicentre, but yeah. Furthermore, the cross-generational misunderstanding thing, that's basically a no from me because almost invariably I understand the reference the older person is making.
Yeah.
And it doesn't endear me to the younger characters. It just makes me think they're stupid.
Yeah.
You know? The grandson's much more likable, which is maybe a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you can argue it on... You could try and argue it on a character-by-character basis.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Sarah, for example, who's the workaholic. Like, perhaps it would make sense that she wouldn't get certain references because she just cares about work. She's not interested in, like, consuming TV and everything.
Yeah.
But yeah, when it's everyone under a certain age, that's the point where you start to go, well, I know that reference.
You're just dumb. That's the worst excuse is, oh, that's before my time. Well, then you really should be able to know it then.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I hate that stuff.
This sort of idea that, like, oh, if it was before you were born, you don't know. Like, a lot of the
Also,
music
before you were born-
I listen to is kind of...
Of course, but also, like, if it happened before you were born, it's not kind of worth watching, reading about, knowing about.
Yeah.
Like, no, all the good things started when I came into the world.
Yeah.
So yeah, my interest gradually waned over the course of the season. It never got bad, it never became a bad show. But as she began liking the colleagues, I gradually stopped caring.
Okay.
And it was unidirectional. It just petered slowly. It didn't, like, win me back. It just kind of went one way.
I would say that, like, because they do a couple of episodes, I think around the 12 to 14 or 15 episode mark. Mm-hmm. It starts to become, like, they're doing a class action lawsuit that lasts a couple of episodes. So it's like, okay, there's actual, like, continuity to this now that I can latch onto.
Yeah, sure.
And then not long after that, Olympia clocks that something is off with Matlock, and they confront each other.
Yes.
And that final run where people are starting to become aware of, like, what's really going on, and other characters aren't supposed to, so they have to compensate for that. I really like that because it actually felt like the show was doing something.
That's
finally.
definitely better. There are better episodes and weaker. Yeah, absolutely. What I'm saying is, it kept petering, not because it got worse and worse and worse, just because it became clear to me that the thing that I like about it is not going to be around for very long.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're going to find out, and it's going to become a different type of show. Like, the season ends with her telling her husband, I still want to be a lawyer now, which was, of course, inevitable.
Yeah.
But also she's friends with Olympia. It's like, where do we go from here? And maybe they'll come up with a conceit that's interesting, but I can just see it becoming a legal drama.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean?
But that's the thing, it can't. I mean, she's there under a false identity, under false pretenses. That's quite a thing they have to get around.
Yeah, and I'll stick around to see what they do with season 2, but I'm not holding out a lot of hope.
Okay.
And I think it depends, but we're probably done with it podcast-wise, right?
I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, unless it reinvents the wheel,
Yeah.
there's probably no reason to go back to Matlock.
No, I mean, the pilot is definitely the best thing about it.
Yes.
Because that was an exciting twist.
When I watched it, I remember, like, oh shit, like, it was a big deal. Like, I thought, oh, this is lining up to be maybe one of the best shows of the year kind of thing. I don't think I think I even stopped myself from telling you what it was.
You did?
Yeah.
You wanted me to find out on my own, which was a good sign.
Yeah, like it's a good twist because it's very well done. Because again, with network, you don't get things like that where the whole show is network dramas are, we want you watching and knowing what's going on instantly.
Yeah.
You have to know what this show is straight away. We are as low common denominator as possible. So the fact that it recontextualized itself after an hour was very refreshing.
But it also kind of suggests that this is going to be a smarter network show.
Yeah, it's more up there with your good wives.
Yeah.
They do come along, but they're very, very rare.
Yeah.
Especially now where network is sort of dead. But we'll see. Like, I kind of recommend it.
I certainly recommend... Yeah, I recommend the pilot.
Yeah.
Keep going, see how far you get. Because I do think the ending, it's not... like you said, it never reaches the height of the pilot again. No. But... after that, like, middle ground where I was, like, really struggling. Not like really struggling, but because I was trying to watch it in, like, a short period of time. And that was difficult. Like, it was difficult to binge it. It's
the case with most 20-episode or so dramas. Like, that middle bit is going to be...
Yeah.
You know, it can be a drag.
Yeah. But when it started to... When things actually started to feel like they mattered.
Yeah.
Like, things that had happened in prior episodes were starting to have consequences.
Yeah.
Yeah, her crusade becomes more... That kind of comes to a head. Mm-hmm. That was like, okay, finally, I'm being rewarded for sticking with
happening.
it.
Yeah. So, make your mind up based on that, I suppose.
Yeah.
Okay. Black Bag. So this is the second Steven Soderbergh, David Koepp film in a matter of weeks.
We'll have another one soon.
We will, yeah. So what's this one basically about?
This is a spy drama thriller.
Yeah, that'll do, really.
Yeah. That's kind of all it is.
Yeah, there's a mole. Michael Fassbender has to find out who.
Yeah.
And he's also married to a spy, and he thinks it's her, and there's mistrust and all that kind of thing. But yeah, given the premise of a British intelligence officer having to sniff out the spy amongst his friends, and the glasses Michael Fassbender wears, and his name is George, yeah, you do think of Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Now, Soderbergh can assemble a great cast. Along with Fassbender, we have Cate Blanchett as his wife, Tom Burke, Naomi Harris, Roger Jean-Page, I think that's how you pronounce it, and Pierce Brosnan, now in his M era.
Well, Pierce Brosnan surprised me because... You see Pierce Brosnan and you're like, okay, Pierce Brosnan's going to be in this.
Yeah.
He's not really.
Not really. But he's M now. He's not Bond anymore. He's aged into M, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Marissa Abella was probably the standout, and not only because she's hot, but no, she's very good. And I enjoyed Tom Burke too. I thought he was good.
Yeah.
It's sleek without being flash, very professional and muted. It does have a wit and a somewhat off-kilter sense of humour, but it's buried beneath the veneer, you know? Like Tinker Tailor, it's a spy thriller that's really about the slow burn espionage, the secrets, the suspicion, the investigation. There's one explosion and one kill, otherwise it's action-free.
It's funny because that explosion is in the trailer, and I think they use it 3 times.
Really? From different angles?
No, it's like the same shot, but they just like continuing.
Doing right, okay, yeah. That's funny.
So when you clock that it's one... I clocked that it was like one shot used 3 times. Like, okay, that's all we're getting, isn't it?
Which is fine with me. Yeah. There's a really good polygraph sequence in there. I liked a lot.
It has a couple of like really nice sequences that... in other projects would be played for like these hyper tense, like, oh, there's action music and it's like things are going wrong and they're rushing. And, but in this, they're just like calmly and professionally, like, we're doing the thing. And it's tense because there's a timer on this. Yeah. And we're cutting it fine, but we're being professional about it. Yeah. Like even the polygraph scene where you can tell people are like...
Getting frustrated
and they're like toying with each other, but it's very understated. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that doesn't work for me. Sometimes like I'm not going to be like, oh, I find that stuff boring. Mm-hmm. But sometimes if it's too understated, you can kind of lose.
Yeah, you're less prone to that, aren't you?
Yeah,
I think I'm a bit more prone to that.
Yeah, it's like it's like not quite enough for me to appreciate what the scene is actually doing.
Yes.
I didn't have that with this.
No,
because it's a very quiet film. It's a very, like you said, understated professional film. But that was something that I actually quite appreciate.
But it does have a sense of humour as well.
Yeah,
you know, like Tinker Tailor. It does a bit, but that's a drier film than that. I mean, I love Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. Favorite film of that year, basically. But, this has kind of a wit to it, you know?
Yeah.
And, it doesn't break the mould. You know, the plot doesn't reinvent the wheel or inject much freshness into the genre. it's nothing really worth writing home about. But I wasn't bored.
No.
I was curious. And there's just satisfaction in seeing a polished, professionally mounted production from a born filmmaker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like when you make as many films as Soderbergh, I guess you can do the odd, one of those films.
Yeah.
And this is better than that, but there's, it's just like, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
And that's just a satisfying, edifying experience.
Yeah, no, I mean, this is a film you watch for its conduct more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because, everyone puts in a fine performance.
Yeah.
And I do believe, like, it's not a case of, like, oh, they become those characters.
Mm-hmm.
But I believed what everyone presented themselves to be.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Naomi
Harris.
as like her as like the therapist kind of.
Yeah.
Like the way that she was talking to Kate Blanchett in that scene, I was like, yeah, I totally buy that. That's what she does for a living.
Yeah, and Tom Burke is like the slightly, like the lush, like he's a bit of like a bougie sort of, like he dates younger women and... Yeah, almost like a Bond parody to an extent, But no, I did enjoy it. I did really like it. But it doesn't reinvent the wheel.
No, it doesn't. No. So yeah, I mean, kind of like, do I say temper your expectations?
Well, it's not an explosive spy action movie.
No, it's not. And that's something to be aware of going in. That it's not going to be. It's not going to be an exciting film.
Not in that way.
No, but it's good.
Yeah, it's Tinker Tailor.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing. Mickey 17. What's this one about?
This is about Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
And Robert
Pattinson.
And Robert Pattinson.
Yeah.
In Mickey 17. Starring Robert Pattinson and Robert Pattinson. Robert Pattinson is a guy.
He does have an annoying name, doesn't he?
He does. It's like not quite.
Yeah. It's not quite
the name you want to say.
Yeah.
It's set in like a sci-fi future. There's like this technology which allows you to clone people, and they have a specific role for that on this like the spaceship. It's like Expendables or something. Or
it's that kind of thing. Yeah. They test diseases on them and
test diseases. They make them do like difficult, dangerous work, and then if they die or they'll just print another one. And so we meet him as Mickey 17, the 17th version of Mickey, and he. Like, at the beginning of the film, he dies.
Yeah.
Or we think
he's presumed
he dies.
Dead. Yeah.
Because, like, something happens to him. Then we get a little flashback that kind of explains everything. Then we meet it back up with him in the present, where he actually doesn't die.
Yeah.
And he goes back to the ship and he finds out they've already printed Mickey 18.
Right.
So there's two of them that exist at the same time.
Yeah.
Which is very much against the rules.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, the visuals are slick.
Bong
Joon-ho. It's the kind of look I like. Gorgeous cinematography.
Yeah.
The camera movements are clean and deliberate, and the compositions are satisfying. The set design, production design is world class.
Yeah.
And I liked how the printer worked like a printer with that stop-start jitter.
Yeah, no, it's a very believable interpretation of what that technology could look like.
Yeah, it sounds when your paper kind of goes in then out. That's what it looks like.
It's almost like Guillermo del Toro in a way. Like, not as stylized as him, but like, I think when we reviewed Nightmare Alley, one of the things we said was he's really good at creating a believable world.
Yeah.
Like, you felt like you were genuinely in the past.
Texture, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what Bong Joon-ho seems to be able to do as well. Certainly in this, is he's created something that has real texture.
Yeah, tangible, yeah, absolutely. It's Robert Pattinson's showcase, isn't it? He makes good choices with the voices and the manners of both of them. 17 and 18 really do feel like two different people.
Which is interesting, because you'd assume, like, they're just clones of each other. They'll just be exactly the same.
Yeah.
But no.
Yeah, like one's like Woody Allen and one's Clint Eastwood. They
do have like you could believe that they're the same person, but they do have different aspects of their personality are kind of foregrounded.
Yes.
So you can tell them apart,
Yeah. He brings a similar intensity that he did with The Lighthouse.
Yeah.
It's just more overtly comic.
Yes.
Yeah. When he pulled away from her name was Anna Maria Valtolome going in for the kiss. I thought two things. One, you've earned my admiration.
Okay.
Because he's in a relationship, basically.
Yeah.
And two, bullshit. But whatever. Mark Ruffalo is doing Trump, right?
Yeah, there's no getting around it.
There's no getting around it. Well, according to Bong Joon-ho, it's not meant to be Trump.
No, it's Trump.
But here's the thing. I can kind of see that, where he's coming from.
Okay.
But he does have the red tie. and the bombast.
Yes.
And the vocal tones somewhat evoke him.
Yeah.
And you said there are red hats,
I think he's delivering a speech to the people on the ship at the one point, and there are some people wearing red baseball caps.
So it's Trump.
Yeah.
Naomi Aki was pretty good, I thought, as the girlfriend.
Yeah.
She was decent. It also features in smaller roles Tim Key, Thomas Turgoose, and Cameron Britton, all of whom were surprises. Do you know Cameron Britton?
I know Cameron Britton.
Yeah.
Is he sure? Are you sure that's Cameron Britton?
It's definitely him, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and Thomas Turgoose, the little boy from This Is England. It's pretty goofy. Ruffalo is reminiscent of Tilda Swinton in Snowpiercer. The size of the performance, they're non-naturalistic, expressionistic in a sense.
Yeah, no, there were bits of this which, made me think of Snowpiercer as well. So maybe that's just what Bong Joon-ho is like.
Yes.
Yeah.
It's almost kabuki, I know that's Japanese and Bong isn't, but we've spoken before about the enormity of Eastern comedy.
Yeah.
And I think Mickey 17 is the Greenwich Meridian. It's right between both.
Okay.
Western and Eastern styles.
Yeah.
Pattinson's playing it quite big as well.
He is, yeah.
It has the sci-fi, not to mention the snowy environment of Snowpiercer, the whimsy of Okja, as well as the character of its creature design is similar kind of thing.
Yeah.
Which also reminds one of the host. The social satire of Parasite on top, and you're watching Bong Joon-ho's greatest hits, really. In the end, it's just a bit lightweight. Satirically and philosophically. The script is too superficial.
Yeah, it's not as fun as the trailer made it out to be. That too. And the first third of the film, maybe even the first half, definitely the first third, it's basically all just flashbacks explaining to you how the printer works and who he is and why he signed up to the thing. And that was disappointing. Because I thought, we're gonna be past all that. Like, the film... Because when he just starts, in the crevasse...
Yeah.
I just thought, oh, good, it's just going to throw us in and we'll pick things up as we go along.
Yes.
But no, it really goes right, okay, let's fucking explain all of this to you before we do anything else.
I think this thing, it's not elegant. I didn't mind that so much. It was more like, now that we've got that out of the way, time for the hijinks. And it's also, as well as being not as fun, it's a smaller film than I anticipated.
Yeah.
It's quite confined to certain areas. But on the script level, I just kept waiting for the grand ideas to arrive. And they never did, Ultimately, and unfortunately, I think Pattinson's dual turn aside, it will prove rather forgettable.
If you remember anything of it, you'll remember
It'll be him. Yeah. But it was put together by a man born to make movies.
Yeah.
And like Black Bag, there's a gratification in bearing witness to all the elements slotting together.
Yeah, I mean, even though there's clearly a lot of CG involved, that final sequence in the snow with all the creatures, that's a proper this is
cinema.
Yeah. You can watch this on a big screen.
Yeah, technically it's a pleasure.
Yeah.
It really is. This is a fairly high budget film, 100 mil. In fact, it's only fairly high now. An adaptation, yes, but the IP is hardly a known commodity, right?
I didn't know it was adapted.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Made on the director's terms. It's a good thing that it exists.
Yeah.
But certainly not what I was hoping for.
No, it's a shame that it just needed a little bit more of a push.
A bit more. I didn't need Parasite. I'm never going to get it.
No.
But I wanted more.
Yeah.
And
I think that's fair.
And that's fair, I think.
Yeah, well, we acknowledge the qualities of it.
Yeah.
It's not as if there's nothing here. It is
technically seamless.
Yeah.
With a very good lead performance. And I would recommend it. Just don't go in expecting a brilliant film.
Don't go in expecting the trailer.
I'm that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Are you the same, basically?
Pretty much, yeah. No, there are certainly qualities to it that stop me from writing it off entirely.
Yeah.
It is a net positive that it exists.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's not a bad movie at all.
No, but there's no reason to go back to it.
No, it's a one and done.
Yeah.
Definitely. Okay, and finally, Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare.
Go on, then.
Well, we said we were going to do it, didn't we?
We did, but, I already know you've got, a little thesis you're ready to go with.
Okay, well, they're making these films faster than I can regain my strength to review them.
It's not just another IP on you film. It's the next in the Twisted Childhood universe.
Yeah, the next big tentpole installment. This is written and directed by Scott Chambers, prominent figure in the Pooniverse, who played Christopher Robin in Blood and Honey 2. Pooniverse is always going to be funny, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's I can't stop myself laughing every time.
Yeah.
The production values have gone up, right?
Yeah.
Technically, this is superior to all in the series so far.
Yes.
The acting's overall better. The editing and sound design are totally competent.
It's almost passable.
Yeah.
As like
basically
an actual film.
Yeah. On those levels, anyway.
Yeah.
Conversely, the aesthetic is grungy and unpleasant in an unpleasant way. The visuals are drained and dull. But we will say they do have intention, right?
Yeah, certainly.
The shot composition is undistracting. It has a look. It's just an ugly one.
Yeah. Intentionally ugly, do you think?
Yes, intentionally ugly, but I think the intention is not... There are horror films that have an ugliness, you're like, yeah, ugliness, and then there are just ugly horror films.
Yeah.
And you're like, ugh. Do you know what I mean? And I was like that.
Okay.
Not to the film's credit.
No, certainly
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
Yeah, because it's unpleasant to
Yeah.
be in its company.
Yeah, and in a bad way.
Yeah, because I think we've said before, haven't we, that like you get some films where like that's what I hate about Fool's Monochrome is you've got this like bleak drama,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
so you've got bleak visuals, and like the whole thing just feels like it's just bleakness compounded.
Well, this is certainly Broadchurch. It's approaching Fool's Monochrome.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Because you showed me last year, I think it was, you showed me Requiem for a Dream for the first time.
Yeah.
And I imagine that was not an easy film to make.
No.
But it just shows that you can do a bleak film,
Mm-hmm.
like a proper bleak drama, that doesn't have to look bleak. Or
With
conduct-
visual prowess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
something that's like actually quite visually fun, but that doesn't detract from...
I've rewatched that film loads of times. People say, like, I can't go back to that film. It was so... The only reason I go back to it is because the filmmaking.
yeah.
It's not because I really want to be in that world again.
No, because I think he recognised we need to be able to carry people through this somehow.
Yeah, exactly.
So we need to make it visually
Let's throw
interesting.
every trick we have in
Yeah.
it. Yeah, absolutely. But the script here is typically rubbish and boring. Other than the feeling with which you emerge, the biggest problem is the pacing. So the climax is tediously drawn out.
Yeah.
Despite the general upwards trend of these films, there are a few laugh-at-it moments. So there's a shot of Wendy frenziedly looking for Michael and calling his name, running swiftly past the door he's hiding behind. It needs to be seen to be properly understood.
Yeah.
But, then someone incapacitates Pan at one point by throwing a teddy bear at him.
There's a moment where is there a clown in the beginning?
No, it's him. But do you mean in the hatch?
Yeah, the hatch. At the
Yeah,
beginning.
that's just him.
That's just him.
Yeah,
okay, yeah. It's a guy. Like it's it basically. They're
it's
doing the scene
Pennywise,
from
yeah.
it. But there's like a hatch in the floor of someone's house, and he's like peeking up through this hatch.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and we were both like, "Hang on,
What? Who has a house like that?
who has a house like that? What is that hatch? How did he find the hatch? How did he get in? What's
Yeah.
going on?"
I really like, we haven't premised it, but it's a Pooniverse film, but with Peter Pan now.
Yeah, it's a Peter Pan slasher.
He abducts kids.
Yeah,
Yeah, okay. There's a hotter caliber of girl now, Megan Placido is her name, who's perfectly inoffensive as Wendy Darling, and whose body is kept to herself.
yeah, yeah. Do we have any gratuitous nudity
No.
in this other than Peter Pan's full frontal?
We'll come to all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, matriarch Mary Darling, she featured in Blood and Honey 2, so that's the connective tissue.
Okay.
There's also a kid wearing a Blood and Honey t-shirt. Do you remember?
Yeah, which I didn't like at all.
No, because it's now a movie, isn't it? In that.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, they've made it a film in that universe, but also it implies that A, that kid was allowed to go see it,
Right.
and B, anyone would like that film.
Exactly. Yeah.
When we know in reality that film has 3% on Rotten Tomatoes.
If it's even the same film, because the scene they show in Blood and Honey 2 is not in the original
No,
film,
it's not,
so whatever. The Darling family dynamic is off in the ways the poor writing and direction engender. They don't feel like a family. The dialogue between them consists of hackneyed niceties. So like Wendy with her younger brother Michael, like, oh, let's do car karaoke, let's go get ice cream after school, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Michael's hair kept bothering me too. Speaking of which, Wendy's a hairdresser. She's a woman, what job should she do? Also sort your brother's head out.
Yeah.
There's an homage, to be generous, like you said, to Pennywise and the Storm Drain. Incidentally, yeah, I don't know what house those characters live in. As Pan, Martin Portlock is otherwise trying to channel the Joker. Both Arthur Fleck with the makeup in the mirror thing, and Heath Ledger with his vocal style. Going from that lilting, playful higher register to deep and grunting, you know? It's not at all creepy or intimidating here. It's just annoying and desperate.
Yeah.
And is used with a frequency that bespeaks the fact the filmmakers think it's cool. He's the best villain they've had so far, and not a write-off as an actor, but what he's doing gets grating.
Yes.
We see that he's a castrato, like you said, be that of his own doing or another's, but that does call the growly half of his vocalizations into question.
Yeah, no, that's a fair
Right.
point, actually.
There's something potentially unnerving about Pan at the beginning, right? It starts with him reading the story of Neverland to one of his child abductees. The camera pans back from the latter sitting on Pan's lap on a rocking chair. But one of the biggest issues with this film is that it gradually robs Pan of any presence. Just off the back of our introduction to him, he engages in a tug of war with a mother of one of his targets, making them menacing, instantly prosaic.
Yes.
Like, oh, give it here, you know. Another missed opportunity is his killing the driver of a school bus full of kids before embarking. On paper, quite scary, especially the jarring daytime setting.
Yeah.
It doesn't hit where it should in the film.
No.
As things proceed, he becomes more of a criminal than a horror creature. There are multiple scenes where events are told from his point of view. So someone's hiding under the bed, but we're with him looking for her.
Yeah.
Someone is sleeping on the couch and we see him breaking in quietly through the window. There are ways of doing both that are chilling, you know? But here it's artless and without intention. So more and more he just becomes a guy.
Yeah.
A weird guy, but a guy. Sometimes he's just an angry British bloke all harrumphing. You know? The violence is nasty. The first kill is a mother. Amongst other things, he scalps her. The gore isn't fun, it's miserable. And neither the kills nor the weapons employed, therefore, are inventive or creative.
Yeah.
Tinkerbell is probably the highlight in this low object.
Okay.
Right? She's played by a trans actor, Kit Green, and is trans. I don't think she's meant to be particularly unsettling, but to me, she was way creepier than Pan.
Okay.
And that's not me playing my fun transphobic character. There was just something about her, you know, like Wendy from Breaking Bad that got hooked on smack instead of meth.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's supposed to be a tragedy to that character, isn't
Yeah, there is.
Because the whole idea is that, Peter Pan promised that he would take me to Neverland.
Yeah.
So he abducted me when I was a child. Now I'm in, like, my 50s or whatever,
Yeah.
and I'm still here.
Tinkerbell was one of Pan's earliest abductees.
Yeah, and so the kind of the loyalty and the kind of blindness that it runs through Tinkerbell.
Yeah.
That's supposed to be like, oh fuck, that's what happens to these people.
Completely Stockholm syndrome with the wazoo, you know. She's become a shut-in, fucked-up concubine that has been indoctrinated into the Neverland delusion.
Yeah. That said, it is a little bit too easy to sway her, isn't it?
It's way too easy. But there's a moment where they kiss, her and Pan.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought that was the correct flavour of disturbing.
Okay.
You know? Tinkerbell is addicted to heroin, which Pan calls pixie dust. A telltale sign of bad writing, where the fantastical is translated as drugs or mental illness. You know, cheap and easy. But Tinkerbell leads us to the most interesting dimension within the film. Interesting only because its relative ambiguity has the frisson of controversy about it.
Okay.
Right? There's a whole queer thing going on here.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, there is.
Michael Darling is a gay kid. Michael Darling, I suppose you should know by the name. This is never explicitly addressed in dialogue, which adds to the semi-intrigue, because these films only do explicit.
Yeah.
Right? No subtlety in the Pooniverse. And it's not subtle here either. Someone sticks a sign saying faggot on his back.
Yes.
And his little boyfriend gives him a card with hearts drawn on it.
Yeah.
You know, a couple of notches above merely implied. But the fact it isn't outright said is out of character for these films.
Yeah.
So yeah, Michael's gay. He wears a pink bicycle helmet. That's how you know.
Yeah.
Literally. Tinkerbell's trans. We see a flashback to her kidnapping as a little boy who has on pink nail polish. And Tinkerbell's a fairy, of course. So there's something within all this about sexuality and gender. And is Pan a gay guy that was abused about it as a kid? Castrated for it? Don't get me wrong, I don't care. And it's obvious. But the presence of any kind of 2 + 2 instead of 4, that was something, you know?
Yeah, well, just the fact that these films are attempting anything beyond just merely existing.
Right.
Because that's the thing with the first two Blood and Honey films. They're not doing anything.
No.
Not saying anything about the world.
They're just slashers.
Yeah, they're not. It's not like they're a metaphor for anything. Like, they're just. Well, they're not even what they are, because they're supposed to be creature-human hybrids.
They're
but
just
they're not even
shitty
that.
horror films. Yeah, yeah.
Whereas this is like, oh no, this is like, it seems
It
as
kind
though
of
it's
wants
trying
to do something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that alone is like, okay.
Yeah, that's different.
Yeah.
Now, for some, this undercurrent has proven inflammatory. The film being labelled by many as transphobic. I don't know how they got there. Is it like Tinkerbell is a fairy in the original novel, and you've translated that as trans, so that's bigoted? Is that the idea?
I don't know. Or maybe just the idea that that she's initially framed as a villain, maybe?
But that's the thing. Tinkerbell emerges as a heroic figure.
Yeah.
And before that, like you said, is a tragic one. No villainy, right?
Yeah.
But I just want to throw into this mix that Scott Chambers is gay.
Okay, all right.
So what do you make of them apples? Yeah.
Oh, do you think this was his, like, oh, now that we've got a reputation for ourselves, I can do something finally?
I don't know if the young actor playing Michael is wearing a wig. He could well be.
Okay.
But it would make sense to me if it was Chambers casting a younger version of himself.
Okay.
You know, a young kid that has to come out and all that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So there's the gay thing explored somewhat arcanely. Otherwise, this is blessedly sexless. It doesn't have that puerile strain of voyeurism the other films do. Maybe it's because he's gay, you know? No temptation toward tits. I will say, as much as I roll my eyes at exploitative sexuality, I would much prefer that tasteless sleaze over this sludge.
Okay.
This is aiming for darkness. It wants to be more mature than it's for bears. Dealing in child abduction and child murder. It takes place off screen, but Pan does indeed murder that busload of kids.
Yeah.
We get like snapshots of their corpses. If you're dealing in these areas, you better know what you're doing. This doesn't.
No.
But it maintains enough distance from the gnarliest stuff for it not to be a problem. We've spoken time and time again about this franchise's humorlessness being a core failing.
Yeah.
This wants to be funny even less than Blood and Honey does.
Yes.
But this is a series that needs to lighten up, not go darker.
No, and that's the thing. Like, it clearly has... There's clearly intention this time. Mm-hmm. Like, it wants... To, like you said, it wants to tell a darker story. Mm-hmm. It's not even a case of, like, oh, it doesn't recognise that it's supposed to be funny anymore. The type of story they're going for probably shouldn't be funny.
No. It doesn't want to be funny.
No.
But the problem is, this franchise needs to get funnier.
No, absolutely, yeah.
And, I mean...
But that's the thing. You say that, I do worry that, like... Well, we've seen how much they misunderstand horror. Do we really want them to attempt comedy?
No, I know. What we're asking for is good humour. You
Yeah.
know? But yeah, this ended up being the Condemned of films for me. Condemned literally, but also the video game.
Okay.
You know? Jump scares, yeah, but oppressively grimy and not in a good way. You know? It's hard to really articulate that, but there's good horror repulsiveness, grime, and there's bad versions of it. I found it a rather depressing experience, as usual. I'm just sick of these things, as ever.
Well, we've got, what was it, 3 more this year?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
3 more big ones.
Yeah, 3 more from Twisted Childhood.
Dozens more overall.
Oh, they've brought 5 out in the time we've been speaking about this one,
exactly.
probably.
They made 5.
They've started another one and finished it already, yeah.
So you probably guess that I don't recommend it.
No, don't recommend it. I mean, do we care? Are we at the point now where we're like, oh, let's rank it in terms of...
What, in terms of the Pooniverse films?
Yeah.
It's the best one. It is the best.
Dear.
No, it is the best one.
Okay.
Because, like I said, some of the acting is fine. It's the best made. There are things you can say in its favour, kind of. And there's nothing about Blood and Honey, either of them, that you could say in their favour.
Yeah, so objectively, it's
it's the best.
But in terms of...
I had a worse time with this probably than I did with the other 2.
Oh, wow, okay.
Because it's more miserable.
Yeah.
The other 2 are shoddy. This was miserable. But objectively the best, yeah.
Okay.
But that's by no means...
That's not an endorsement, no.
And that's it, I think.
Yeah, so, stay away from it.
Stay away.
Are we at the point now where they're just going to... Such is the reputation of those first 2 Blood and Honeys, that they're just going to be able to make all of these films that they want to make?
Probably. I'm trying to stop in my own little way. Like I've tagged Lexicentre in some of our releases.
Oh, right, okay.
Because no one knows about these films. I figure, like, if any of the actors just Google and people talking about it, we will probably come up. So
unless we're that hidden in the algorithm.
Probably are.
Yeah.
But, you know, because no one's talking about these films, it's just like their mates on Letterboxd, like 3 reviews or something.
Yeah, there was one that was like, it was like a guy that was like, oh, I'm friends with the director. It's still shit, though.
Basically.
Or something like that.
Yeah, your mates can't even give you a good review.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping they get in touch to have a go, and I can have a sit down with them and be like, listen, you either pay me a lot of money to do this and do it better, or you need to stop.
Okay.
Just for the world. Have a heart.
But is it like? But you said like no one's talking about it. So are we just being sadists here?
Do you mean masochist? What
Sorry,
exactly-
masochists. Yeah, we're just being masochists here.
Look, I'll remind you, as I'll keep reminding you about common side effects. I didn't want to watch Massive Horrors or Piglet.
No, I know, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Neverland Night. We're talking about the main continuity, which you have committed us to watching.
No, we review every film above a certain level. You know this.
Yes.
Or we at least watch every film of a certain level. And if there's enough to say, we say it. There's always enough to fucking say, isn't it, about these films? But, yeah, don't watch it.
No.
Is the takeaway.
No.
Now we're going to get takeaway.
Okay.
So, see you next week.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.